So, of course, it goes without saying that there are tons of fragrances in the industry that get a lot of hype. Of course, we have designer scents, we have niche scents. In today's video, I'm going to be focusing my attention on 10 of the most hyped niche fragrances ever. I'm excited to share this list with you, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I tell you about these top 10 most hyped niche fragrances of all time, of course, I could have very easily done a part 2 and a part 3, and I anticipate that certain viewers are going to be like, where's this fragrance? Where's that fragrance? And of course, I do plan on doing upcoming segments to this video. I tried to limit it to one fragrance per brand, but I do want to start the video off first by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, give this video a thumbs up. It would really mean a lot to me. So the question becomes, what makes these fragrances so hyped? It could be the reputation. It could be the fact that they've been around for a long time. People had the opportunity to try them. They sung high praise for them. It can also be because they were highly anticipated releases, so on and so forth. And of course, we know what the hits are. You have the Baccarat Rouge. You have, there's countless brands to name. And of course, this is just going to be part 1. So there will be follow-up episodes in the future. But let's go ahead and start things off with Bond number 9. Now, Bond number 9 has a lot of hyped fragrances, but for as long as I have been a part of this community, which is about 11 years now, the one that comes to mind for me is New Harlem. New Harlem is a composition by Maurice Roussel. It has the lavender, it has that maple syrup sort of a vibe. Of course, it smells like Rojas Man and Michael Jordan Legend. There's a lot of other designer level fragrances that have a similar vibe to them, but New Harlem, it's sweet, it's gourmand, it has that quirky lavender in there. It's a really special fragrance. Of course, we can't make this list without mentioning a Le Labo fragrance. And aside from Rose 31, I think the most hyped is, of course, Santal 33. Who does not know Santal 33? It's created by perfumer Frank Vogel. It has the sandalwood, it has some spices, it has the papyrus. It's woodsy, it's earthy, it's smooth, it's non-sweet, perhaps a little ambery, but like I said, there's nothing sweet about it. It has a touch of spice in there, and it's a really, really interesting fragrance. Of course, it has been cloned ad nauseum, so there are a lot of fragrances out there that smell very similar to it. From the brand Inicio Parfum, we have Oud for Greatness. This is probably the most hyped fragrance from the brand, and it's also the best seller from the brand. Of course, there's Rehab and Paragon and Side Effect and Musk Therapy and so many other wonderful fragrances from Inicio, but there's no denying the fact that Oud for Greatness is, without a shadow of a doubt, the most hyped. And of course, it has the saffron, it has the oud, it does have a lot of nagarmoda as well. It's not listed in the note breakdown. It's spicy, it's a little sweet. Some people have actually compared it to Baccarat Rouge, but myself personally, I do find it to be a lot darker, not as sweet. From the brand Aaron Terrence Hughes, of course, we have Supernova. Now, it is my understanding that this fragrance has sold out a bunch of times. It actually gets compared to Creed Aventus. It's bright, it's fresh, it has a fruity sensation in the opening, it has an ample amount of citrus, and of course, with that being said, we might as well just talk about Creed Aventus. It is one of the most hyped fragrances out there. Of course, from Creed, we also have Virgin Island Water, we have Green Irish Tweed, we have Royal Oud, which is composed by Julian Rascanet. But of course, I want to talk about Creed Aventus because this is undoubtedly the most hyped Creed fragrance. Pineapple, apple, blackcurrant, birch, vanilla, so on and so forth. Why does this fragrance get so much hype? Just so happens to be one of the most complimented niche fragrances on the market. And of course, speaking of compliments, we have a Sospiro fragrance. This one is called Vibrato. Now this fragrance, grapefruit, ambroxan, it's bright, it's citrusy, it's zesty. It has a little bit of an aquatic tendency, especially as it starts to settle down. And of course, this is one that gets compared to Bulgari Tiger and also Arakis by Spirit of Kings. It does have that Bulgari Tiger DNA. This one is perhaps a little bit stronger and it has a little bit more zest up on top. So of course, if you're interested in learning more about it, definitely make sure to watch my review here on YouTube. But in terms of Sospiro fragrances, of course, there is Erba Pura, but in terms of recent hypes, and of course, Erba Pura is also under the Xerjoff umbrella as well. I do own that fragrance too, potentially going to make it in part 2 of this video. Of course, this is one that has been talked about for a long time. The perfumer is Sidonie Lankesser. This one is called 1270 by Frappin. The extreme version, I think, was composed by Jerome Epinet, but this has the plum, the dried fruits, the cognac. It is a beautiful fall and winter type of a fragrance. The only qualm about it is that people complain about the longevity and the performance. Now, this next one has really good performance, especially if you're looking for a fall and winter staple. This one is Xerjoff Naxos. It's so hard to pick a fragrance from the brand Xerjoff because a lot of them have gotten a lot of hype, right? Uden Overdose, Lira, Italica, More Than Words, so on and so forth. It's so hard to utter the name Xerjoff and not think to yourself, wait, aren't there like 10 different hyped fragrances from the brand? But Naxos is tobacco and honey, and it's smooth. It's perfect for the colder weather. Of course, I also want to talk about a Parfum de Marly fragrance. And of course, if you have any familiarity with the Marly brand, pause the video right now, drop your comment down below. What do you think is the most hyped Parfum de Marly fragrance? Of course, Altair is the newest release, and it's the one that's kind of getting all the hype right now. But since the brand's release, is it Pegasus? Is it Godolphin? Is it Percival? Is it Carlisle? Is it Sedley? Is it Delina? In my opinion, on the men's side of things, it has to be Herod. This is the one that, especially if you're looking in the Facebook groups as of late, everybody's talking about Herod. Everybody's having these concerns over a possible reformulation, so on and so forth. Herod is also kind of aesthetically similar to Naxos. It has the tobacco, it has the vanilla, it has a touch of spice, it's warm, it's earthy, it's rich, it's sensual, and it's super strong. At least my bottle is, and I've had this for any number of years now. And now, moving on to the number 1 spot, of course, when it comes to this brand, there are so many fragrances that can be spoken about, and of course, the brand is Amouage. I could have very easily included Interlude for men, and of course, there are so many other fragrances from the Amouage brand that I love. Epic and Memoir and Lyric and Fate. Although Fate is not a favorite, but it has grown on me over the past few years. But for as long as I have been in this community, the one fragrance that gets mentioned time and time again, and yes, they have released a flanker of this fragrance, which was a stronger concentration of it. The fragrance that I am talking about, of course, is composed by Lucas Suzak, and it's called Reflection for Men. I think of chili or pimento, I think of rose, I think of neroli, I think of the niche version of Le Male by Jean-Paul Gaultier. That is effectively what I'm getting with Reflection for Men. And let me tell you something, Reflection is one of the most amazing fragrances in my entire collection. It's classy, it's a compliment getter, it's elegant, it's not as common of a DNA as something like a Creed Aventus or subsequently a Supernova by Aaron Terence Hughes. And of course, you do have this fragrance, Vibrato, which smells like tiger, and you do have Naxos, which smells like pure Havane, and this gets compared to Baccarat Rouge, and this gets compared to Rochas Man. But at the end of the day, Reflection for Men kind of stands out on its own. This is a fragrance that has won the hearts of so many consumers. It's a compliment getter. It's one that I love having in my collection. And of course, this is my 2nd or 3rd bottle of it. And you can already tell that I have worn a lot of this stuff. Listen, 10 of the most hype niche fragrances on the market. I look forward to potentially doing a designer version. Then, of course, there's also a niche version that I can do at Bapura, Baccarat Rouge. I plan on making a part 2 in the very near future, but why don't you go ahead and drop a comment down below and let me know, what do you consider to be the most hyped niche fragrance? It could be a fragrance that has already made its way into this list. It could be something outside of this list, but I'm always looking forward to hearing from you. I love interacting with my subscribers and I love the feedback Thanks again for watching 10 of the most hyped niche fragrances on the market. If you enjoyed this video or if you took something of value from today's episode, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon down below so you could be notified whenever I do upload these videos, and give this video a thumbs up. Thanks again for watching. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.